right. So some of the things that we talk about, it's like, yeah, you're right. If this thing still feels bad, you're hoping that it felt better with this update, but maybe that one thing's not going to feel better until next update or 3 updates or, whatever it is. And I think that's like, yeah, it's just a little bit of a different perspective because we understand, yep, we've got all these things. We believe and we're confident we're going to be able to get them done before we ship the game, and that's part of it. But as a player, you're sometimes you're just wondering and waiting a little bit about like, man, I hope that thing I really care about is in the next one.
Now, let's talk about that. So just before I jump in, I just want to say that this was one of the best dev streams that they've had. And I say that because of how open it was in the communication department. So what I really liked about this dev stream was it did address a lot of issues. When I say address, I'm not saying that we saw visuals of things that we know are going to get better. It's still a lot of hope. We're still in hope land, But here's what I'll compare it to boxing in general. Undisputed, and this is what I hope you guys all can wrap your head around right now. Undisputed is like Spence Crawford. And I know some of you probably just turned off the video right now. But Spence Crawford, now hear me out. Remember when they met and they were in the corridor and they were talking and they were going back and forth? Bob Arum was there. Remember all that? Well, Undisputed Early Access is at that point. It's not here in 2023 where we're actually going to get the fight. It's way back then. So I think that's one thing we really need to realize. The stage that we're in, we are playing an incomplete game. And that's why, and this was early on that Raxzilla addressed that. We are playing an incomplete game. I think we all realize that, right? I think we also need to understand, and that's why I appreciate a lot of the things that they were saying. They're like, look, I know what you want. We are seeing it. We're noticing some of the problems that we're having. I'm going to get into quite a few of those things. But I really liked how they addressed each issue. And when I say addressed it, communicated it to us. It almost felt like I was in an auditorium. When you're in school, I felt like I was in an auditorium and maybe it was like a town hall, right? I felt like I was in a town hall and I was ready to go off. I was like, okay, let's see what these fools got to say this time. Let's see what they got to say, because I got a few things to say, but they're working on it. It is a process. It is a process. And I'm not here to defend SCI at all, because I don't play the game as much as when I first started playing it. I still play it probably every other day, or I definitely do at least one prize fight a day. I definitely do one prize fight. But I don't play online, man. I played online a couple times when they had the new fighters. I took the new fighters online, but other than that, I don't play Undisputed online. I play offline because the offline experience is much better. And that's something that they addressed in this video. And we're going to talk about that too. So one thing that I like that they said was that the referee, they are working on the referee. They understand, they hear what everybody's saying, how they want to see the referee in the ring. They're trying to make sure they get it right. Okay, I respect it. They also addressed how the UI was previously and how it is now. They felt like it needed an update. And they feel like what they have now is an upgrade, and they're going to continue with the UI the way it is now. So don't expect them to fall back to what it was. And I know we all remember that had in there, I think it had like a fox that showed the Canelo plant fight that was coming up or something like that. But yeah, so we're not going back there. This is the UI now, and they're going to build off of that. And just expect a similar UI. It's not going to change very much.
After that trailer had gone out, we did have a couple of conversations with a couple of the bodies, and it was a case of just again balancing that fine line between, hey, are we glorifying a large amount of violence here compared to this is a sport, and we don't want blood spurting out everywhere all over somebody's face. But having said that, I think right now it's been toned down a little bit too much, and actually damage, swelling, cuts, and blood is actually on our list of things to work on, right? So we will be making some changes about the whole, the system with swelling and.
Now that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, right there. So it was one of those situations. I don't know if y'all peeped it or not. It was one of those situations where there was like, look, This is what happened. The sanctioning bodies got in our ear. That's basically what he said. The sanctioning bodies got in our ear, and they said they didn't want something like Mortal Kombat, basically. They didn't want blood and guts and all this stuff spurting everywhere. But we all know Miguel Cotto's face and Diego Corrales' face in those wars. Man, we know what boxing is. People know what boxing is. It's a brutal sport, man. It's a brutal sport. People die in that ring. It's brutal. It's brutal. So I think it's okay to have some savagery. You don't have to, I don't think it's crazy. It's normal. It's part of boxing to have it in there, have blood in there. You know, you see these cuts, big old cuts like they had on that Scott Quigg back in the day. Remember that big old cut Scott Quigg had? And now we don't see that. So I think, and from what he was saying, we're going to get back to that. They're going to make more of a move back towards that. They feel like they did take a step too far in the other direction, and now they're going to bring it back. And this is what early access is about. This is why I really like SCI. I like the community. I like how vocal everybody is. From Dark Side to J Shep to everybody that's in the forums, much louder than I am. Of course, I'm always talking about more technical things. And y'all, look, I need your help. I need to get that step in straight. I know I'm kind of going off the path. I need y'all help. I submitted a ticket for that step in straight. I don't know if you guys noticed, you can't do a step in straight. You cannot do a step in straight. Can't do it. You can do a step in jab. You can do a step in jab to the head, step in jab to the body. You can do a step in straight to the head, but you cannot do a step in straight to the body. So I need y'all help. Get vocal with it and let them know so we can get that fixed. Because you want all aspects. I need all of that. When I'm at a distance, if I know I'm touching them to the body, I want to mix it up. I want to be like, oh, okay, I'm coming to the body. And then maybe I come to the head with the next one. But I don't even have that option right now. So anyway, we're talking about this this dev stream that they had, right? So I think it's great that they're going to actually kind of revert back to what we saw and what we got so excited about. And I think that's great. So let's go ahead and continue. Let's see what else they talked about.
A place where 10 out of 10, it looks good, or 10 out of 10, it works. And the issue that we had was because it was, like a leaping left hook from Frazier, we were struggling to make it land or look actually effective every single time, where, because of our physics system, sometimes it looked pretty funky. So, having said that, we do have a working, solid looking Joe Frazier left hook that we will be bringing back in, because look, he's one of my favorite heavyweights, and putting that in to begin with, I liked how it was playing, and even some of the knockouts that we got in the game from that leaping left hook looked pretty cool. But yeah, it's just one of those scenarios where it didn't always look great, and I'm not going to be comfortable with putting anything out if that's the case. So we'll be putting that back in.
That's another positive that they stated. They will be putting that leaping left hook from Frazier back in the game. See, that's another good detail that he provided, even though I take issue with it. And I'll tell you why I take issue with it. But let's just focus on the positive. They will be putting that leaping Joe Frazier hook back in the game. I think that's a great move. It's going to be great to see. We want to see the individuality in these fighters. And that's another thing that Frazier has that not everybody should have. So also, the reason why I don't like it, the reason why I wish they should have just put it in there to begin with, is this early access. It is early access. He said it was about 8 out of 10, right? A lot of things that they have in this game are 8 out of 10. A lot of things, some are even less. So why not? Why they should have left that in there with everything else. And that would have left a large pool of players, or a larger pool of players, to test it out and say, okay, this isn't working. Because now once they put it back in there, it's still going to get nitpicked. There's still going to be things that players are going to find out and they're going to notice about it. So that's my only gripe. This is early access. Put it in there. What are you waiting for? If it's 8 out of 10, anything that's 8 out of 10, put it in there. 10 out of 10, that's perfection. That's dang near perfection. And you're trying to get there for launch, but get it to the pool of players, let them give their feedback, and then you can go ahead and tweak it and do everything else that you need to do to it. And they're looking like that in certain areas. And I think and we're going to talk about this because this is coming up as well in this dev stream, is when they talk about the competing audiences for the game. And I'm gonna jump into that right now because I have something to say about that.
But we think that people actually are gonna going to care about the authentic boxing experience, even if they're a new player, that's a thing that
Yep.
people want to work toward and be a part of. So for us, we don't really see it as an either or thing. But right now, with where the game is at, we just don't think that we think that both audiences, we have not, mastered our ability to provide that kind of experience and ramp up to that. And that's why we need to work on it.
Yeah, and even in a microcosm in terms of how a casual player experiences the game on the different levels, like just to even the PAX kind of thing that you reference, and not to toot my own horn here, when playing against somebody, like they'll play against each other, and then every once in a while somebody would want to play against me because I'm standing there, and they want to know something, they might know who I am, so they'll play with me. And they're entertained by fighting each other and just blasting at each other. But then when I'm playing against them and I'm doing all of these different intricate things and moving my head, and they're entertained by the prospect of that as well. They're like, whoa, what's going on? How are you doing that? How are you moving here? How are you moving over there? So there's like, even between the casual audience, there seems to still be an appreciation to the deeper level stuff, even if they can't get there just yet. So I think if we, focus on the authentic boxing element of it, I think it'll pull even the casual fans if we go in that direction.
And I think Fanatico, the way he polished that at the end, said it all. Said it all. Yes, you're going to have those fans, you're going to have those players that come in the game and they're just going to be wailing. You know what I'm saying? They're just going to be throwing shots. Heck, you're going to see boxers. Boxers are going to come in and wail shots. I remember they had a video. I don't remember if it was Jaime Munguia I saw that was playing Undisputed, and he was just pressing the buttons, mashing the buttons. That's what they're going to do. You're not going to stop them from doing it. But they'll notice when somebody starts kicking their butt, they're going to want to get better. They're going to be like, dang, how you slip my punch? Why can't I hit you? Why won't you stand there and get hit? They're going to want to pick up on some of those things. Of course, you're going to have some players that just want to go rock'em sock'em robots, but you can have a custom match for that. You can create a custom match with custom settings and do something of that nature, and that will fulfill that role for those more casual fans. But I think they do need to continue to build, and he did say if they choose to go in that direction. That was interesting as well. But I do hope they continue towards that authentic simulation boxing experience, because there is so much to offer. I mean, even now, like I was telling you guys about I can't do a step in straight to the body. It's like nobody had said that. I looked on the Discord, I was searching the Discord, nobody was talking about that. It's just something that you discover. You're like, because you're trying to use everything you can to gain some kind of advantage in a fight and try to see how your opponent is going to react. So you want to have all those tools available. And I think these casual players, or say non-boxing fans, let's just say those non-boxing fans, maybe be fight game fans, they could be fight game fans, I think they would benefit from that. And what's going to be critical is that they provide a tutorial, some form of tutorial that will help those players understand why it's important. Because it's fun. Not only is it important, but it's fun once you understand it, because you're like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. But they got to get the damage and the stamina right, which we're going to touch on here in a minute, because that's coming up shortly. But what Rack said, I'm so glad he said it, because they realize they're trying to, they like got the scales, you know what I'm saying? They got the scales of judgment, and they're trying to balance them, and it's just not going to work. I don't think it's going to work with this type of game. I think you need to go one way or the other, primarily 90-10 at least. And that's what I'm saying, a custom match element or something like that. If you go 90-10, I think that's good. 90 authentic and 10 the other way. I think that's probably a good balance. And I hope that they do that. But I'm glad they realize it. They need to pick a direction, though. Pick a direction, stick with it, push to go in that direction. Because, man, I'm here to support it. And I'm going to support it. Just like I'm going to be supporting Bloody Knuckles Boxing. Can't wait to see Shawty get that game right. Man, that game looked fire. But anyway, we're going to keep moving.
Game balancing relating to how stamina and damage can be better tuned. Why has that been such a difficult task to complete? Is there anything, can't we just change a slider here or there, or turn something on and off and make it just an easier experience in terms of damage and stamina? Or is there just something else that needs to happen?
I wish it were that easy. It would make my job a lot a
Just
lot
press a button.
easier about explaining about how we handle that stuff. But I mean, I think the first thing is that, like, so we have a vision for the game that we're making around authentic boxing, right? And we have a game that's in early access right now, which means it's not finished, and we're working on these areas. And there's some things that are just going to feel rough until we've done certain things, or there's some things that we just have to react to with feedback. So, like, I guess the first thing is, like, when you think about balance of stamina and damage, because those are the two things that people talk a lot about. Sometimes what we hear from players is like, I can just throw too many punches in a game, or it's not consequential enough. My opponent was able to throw too much. They didn't pay for it. They weren't tired, or damage is, I can't damage people enough with counters, or I can't damage, enough with this particular fighter that, I want to utilize. And I guess the first thing is, like, we can say, we want those things to feel consequential, right? And that we know that the game that is live right now, that they maybe don't feel as consequential as we would like. And those are things that we're working on. But some of them require us to take a hard look at some of the systems and how the systems work, because it's not as simple as, let me just change this one value. It's a thing that we have to think about. And then, there's a part of uh this too that's like, well, you also go to places like PAX, where it's not all the hardcore players, and then we realize, oh, people that play our game are having a totally different experience than the folks that we're talking to are online, or that we have, right? Some people would refer to that as a casual audience, if you will. And so, like, I'm at PAX and I'm just like, oh, like, we're over here worried about damage and stamina, not being too much, and then I see people just hitting the buttons and they're out of stamina in 5 seconds, and they keep hitting the buttons, not realizing they're out of stamina. So, like, I think
the bottom line here is that they are still trying to figure out how to alleviate the issues with stamina. That's going to be a consistent work in progress, because, as you know, with gaming, once you add one thing, there's going to be other things that do break. There's going to be other things that do glitch up. So we just got to keep I guess, putting the pressure on them to make something happen. And I think everybody's doing that, and I think they're aware of it. So I guess pressure is probably the wrong word there, but we just got to make sure any updates or any updates that are made, we're monitoring that as gamers. Just monitoring, making sure if there's any changes or something that we notice to the stamina that doesn't seem right, you just gotta let them know. We just gotta let them know. And that's what I do. I just go ahead and fill out a Trello all the time. I will do one as much as I can, so if I notice anything crazy. But a lot of people have said things about stamina, so I don't think I really need to jump into that. That's something they got to work on, and we'll see where they go from here, as well as those damage numbers. There's a couple more things that they addressed that I wanted to address in this. Like, I'm going to tell you about a few more things that they did, but I'm not going to go in depth over it. Just going to state what I think about it, which is all positive. At least they're talking about it. As long as the discussion's being made, we're not being ignored as players of the game. I appreciate it because I understand it takes time. We can't rush it. Trust the process, like the 76ers say, and some of y'all might not understand that reference, but trust the process.
What's the next steps in terms of balancing out on the fighting on the front foot versus fighting on the back foot? And I know the answer, but
So I think, we did speak about this in one of our previous videos, right? Where we feel like the game is quite, it's a little bit skewed towards the back foot fighter, right? So if you're a tall fighter with a long reach and you fight off the back foot, it's actually really difficult for the opponent to close that distance, if they haven't got the same advantages as you. So one of the things that we're really excited about is in the next update that's coming, fighters will be able to move forward whilst slipping a punch, and they'll actually be able to do that in both directions. So you'll be able to move forward and slip left, and move forward and slip right. So that really works well with shorter fighters who don't have that long reach and need to close the ground pretty quickly. So somebody like Joe Frazier is absolutely perfect for, where you can slip under those punches whilst you are actually moving forward. So I think that's a really, really, really important kind of weapon in a fighter's arsenal, where they're able to close that distance down, slip a punch, and come up with an uppercut or a hook. So it's no longer just a case of being able to dodge in 4 different directions. You'll be able to dodge diagonally left and diagonally right. So that's something that we're really excited about, and we think it's going to close the gap in that area of back foot fighting being kind of like a preferred route in Undisputed. So yeah, if you're fighting off the back foot all the time, then prepare to get challenged with the.
Okay. All right. So now we're talking. Now they're bringing in a mechanic to help deal with that dang back step straight. That is the most annoying thing in the game. People just keeping their distance and abusing that. So it's good that they're doing that. But don't get me wrong, this is not going to be the end all be all to solve the problem. I mean, what you're going to probably see quite a bit, believe it or not, I know you might think I'm crazy on this, you're going to start seeing some people dancing, right? Because you're going to see somebody, when they slip to the right, the other person's going to slip to the left. Then they're going to slip to the left, and the other person's going to slip to the right. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to see some dancing out there, because that's what you do. Anytime somebody makes a move and goes to your, let's say they pivot and go to the side, what do? You got to pivot with them, so that way you stay in front, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of that with these slips. Somebody's going to slip, and then the opponent's going to slip right with them. So we're going to see a little bit of dancing, but that's still going to be fun to play it and figure out exactly how you can kind of close the distance, on these people that like to keep their distance. And that's good. This was a desperately needed mechanic in this game. So I'm glad we're going to get it. But did you see how much stamina? That's once again, that's why if you make any sweeping stamina changes, that's another thing you're going to have to consider. Are you going to take less stamina or make it less stamina when you're slipping? Especially if they do a major hit to stamina. Are you going to make it so it's less stamina when you're slipping? It's a lot of things that they're going to have to look at. A lot of things. But I'm glad this is still a step in the right direction. I'm excited for this, man. I can't wait. And let's talk. They talked about desync. They talked about in the next update. Not only are we getting this mechanic in the next update, the other biggest thing, I'm going to be jumping back online, baby. I'm going to be jumping back online. And they said it's not the end all be all, but they address the desync. They addressed it, y'all. It's going to be in the next update. And here's what they had to say. I'm going to play that. Here's what they had to say.
To make online a more stable experience coming along in terms of desync, and there's a lot of people using certain things to cheat online and stuff like that. So where are we with online stability overall?
So as we've spoken about this on a number of roundtables, right? Where we've been speaking about we're getting an additional resource. We're working with another expert in the online space to help us resolve some of these issues. And I'm pleased to say that in the next update, we are going to be dropping some improvements in the online space. It's not the final fix or the big fix that will make everything perfect, but there will be some improvements to people's online experience. So with the next update that will be going out, there'll be essentially an improvement in terms of desync, an improvement in terms of the amount of ghost punches that you see. So we're pretty excited about the online improvements that are coming. But again, it's just the first of a few. So yeah, expect the online experience to improve in the next update, and then we're obviously continually working with our partners.
Phenomenal news. Absolutely phenomenal news. I'm gonna go back Fight Night Champion, right? Obviously there were exploits on Fight Night Champion, but I didn't really enjoy, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't enjoy my experience on Fight Night Champion. However, I was hoping Undisputed would be different, and it's a nightmare. It's been a nightmare for me personally. So I'm actually looking forward to this because I want to jump online, and I will definitely be jumping online and trying this out. I can't wait till that next update drop. I'm going to be putting out some videos on that. So, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. That was one thing when I heard, I was like, okay, we can get online. And mainly because you have the new mechanic where you can close the distance. Love it. Glad we got something, just something where we can close the distance. And now, the desync, and he did say not everything's going to be fixed, but the desync issues, getting that online stability going. I mean, I can't wait. I'm going to jump back on there because right now I'm primarily offline. So I just want to, it's a couple more things and then I'm going to wrap this up. So let's go ahead and jump into a couple more things. I'm going to really just show the video because a lot of you probably, if you're here, you probably already saw it. You know what I'm saying? You probably saw it. So they did talk about like the muscle flexing, the glistening on the body, you know, the fighters, that people want to see that they're going to add more camera angles because they're saying the reason why you don't see it doesn't look how it used to look a couple years ago, how people were saying how it looked better a couple years ago than it does now. They're saying it's the lighting, it's the camera angles, it has to do with that. And they will be adding more of that. And apparently when they did even the Crawford trailer to get them out, I think it was a little promo they did where Fanatico was showing them off. So even in that one, they were using a camera angle that we don't have right now. So Fanatico had mentioned in the video that he likes using the dolly camera. That thing can make you seasick. So I don't, but he says he likes to use it, and that does kind of give you that more up close and personal experience. So if you want to get comfortable with that, feel free to use that. You know, but I don't really care for that. I'm okay with the camera angles that we have, honestly. But I see what people are saying about visually. You know, I still would like to see that improve a little bit, definitely a little bit. But I'm more concerned about the gameplay mechanics than I am about the looks at the moment. Of course, you want it to look good. You definitely want it to look good. But man, if I can't do what I want to do in the ring, what's the point? I don't give a dang how good it looks. You know, I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it long term. That's for dang sure. So that was something that they talked about. The side dodge, I guess Usyk had a side dodge that's not in, but it will be in. They're going to put that back in. So that was another thing that they had showed. And then on release, they took out. They didn't have it in there. So they're going to put that back in there. So we're going to get talking to Frazier, that leaping left hook. We're talking about the Usyk dodge that's going to be back in there. We're talking about some slipping that we can actually slip forward and actually close the distance. So we have desync is going to be addressed. Online stability in some shape or form is going to be addressed. There's a lot that's coming. There's a lot to look forward to. They're not ready to talk about Creative Fighter yet. They're not ready to talk about the story mode yet. But they said when they do, they're going to give it the proper attention that it deserves. So, and I think look at the gameplay is not right yet, y'all. And like I said, I need y'all help trying to get that step in straight to the body. We need that too. So they got to get this stuff right, because if I'm doing career mode, I dang sure better have all my boxing ability tools available to me. Because if I'm creating a fighter, I want them to be able to do everything. But that's mostly everything that's in here, I believe. They talked about some vulnerability, talk about addressing that, ratings changes and the way forward. I don't remember too much about the ratings changes and the way forward. So I'm going to pull that up real fast, and then we can take a look at that and see if I have anything to say. Because I was trying to like write some notes down so I can figure out some of the things that I like, some of the things that are okay. You know, but this is one I didn't write anything down, and I don't know why. So I just want to see what they say. You guys can let me know what you think.
Handling ratings moving forward, since we did it before, are we still doing that? Are we still focusing on that?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think 2 updates ago we had a bunch of ratings changes. Most of them were in heavyweight, and I think the way we've thought about that is, trying to align with making the changes that matter the most, right? So heavyweight's like the most popular division in our game. We did a pass on that. We opened up the Discord where people were talking about it, saying, "Hey, you guys have got a few things really wrong," and we agreed. And so we made some of those changes. And then I think this last time it was mostly about fixing Amir Khan, because we had him a little out the gate, a little too powerful, a little too tough. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about this just mainly because I don't want people to be confused about like, hey, why would you do a bunch of ratings and then next time you've got a few? I mean, I think ratings, frankly, for us, is a pretty challenging thing. And part of that is just because we are a small company, right? So it's not like we've got the ratings guru who sits all the time and focuses on these things. As much as we're boxing fans, some of it has been just kind of like a best effort, that we can get it to a place where it feels acceptable, knowing that it's not perfect and that it's not full release shippable.
I didn't get too much from that. I just stopped it right there. I didn't get too much from that. It seems like it's just something that's going to be a consistent work in progress. So I'm gonna just let them continue to work on it. If I notice anything, this is what I do. If I notice something that doesn't seem right with a fighter, I just make sure I go on there. I go in the Discord, I use Trello, and I let them know. And I'm like, look, this ain't right. This is why, and this is a possible solution. And that's how that's how we should all approach it. But yeah, so I think that's all I have for this one, y'all. Well, let me make sure there's nothing else. Vulnerability system, yeah, no. Yeah, I think we're good. Did we talk about the referee? I think we did. They said they had worked on a new algorithm for the referee, but they did say that is in the initial stages, so I wouldn't expect anything on that coming anytime soon. So it's Kenny Bayless and nobody else. No, I'm sure. Maybe we'll get a Jack Reese. Maybe. Do we want a Tony Weeks, y'all? Do we want a Tony Weeks? Oh, I better get off here. I've probably been on here too long, but I appreciate y'all rocking out with me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Anybody that comes by here and checks out these videos, man, talk to me. Let me know what you think about Undisputed. Let me know what you like, what you hate. And if you add me on was it not UB Connect, because that's For Honor. If you guys add me on Steam, yeah, we can catch a game, man. We can catch a game, a couple matches, a little sparring action, a little something going in, especially once these changes pop off. So I appreciate you rocking out with me. Like I said, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Until next time, y'all. Peace.